What inspired you most to join marching band?
Um, I, from a really young age, really liked music, and I don't know, marching band just interested me, and I followed some of my closest friends into it, and it ended up working out that it's one of the most fun things I've ever experienced in my life.
What section are you a part of?
I've been a part of a couple sections, but last year I was a part of the low brass section because I marched tuba.
What was your favorite part of the opposites show?
We have a little hype, and so every time someone says opposites, regardless of where we are, we go a little oop. And so that was pretty fun because the band directors from other schools were yelling opposites at us, and all we could do is just yell our little hype.
What inspired you to join marching band?
I was in 8th grade and I liked band and everything, and I was friends with like Sam and Mikey, and they were deciding to join 8th grade year, so I decided to join it and see what it was like.
All right, being the conductor, what obligations do you have that the other band members don't share with you?
I have a lot of responsibilities. Like, I have to make sure that everybody's ready and outside, and I have to make sure that I have, everything that needs to be done, and basically just having like the field set up and making sure that it's ready for like practice to start and everything like that.
All right, what experience did you have with instruments before you joined a marching band?
Before I joined marching band, I only played clarinet and such, like just clarinet. But like after I joined marching band and like coming into high school, I started playing like the tenor sax, and then I did bass drum for marching band last year.
All right, thank you, Anna. What inspired you to join marching band?
It's mainly my sister. She played mellophone back in around 2013, 2014 years, and she got me into playing brass, tuba, and so yeah, I just went from there.
What was your favorite part of the opposites show?
Favorite part of the opposite show? In movement 3, right before a big impact, we have a horn snap, and really like horn snap tuba, and so I went out of my way to hit my hand against the instrument to make a loud bang sound, so it looks really snappy and cool.
What section are you a part of?
Low brass, tuba, of course, and never trade it for the world.
That's all I got for you. Thank you, Michael. What inspired you to join marching band?
My friends actually encouraged me and told me that it was a really cool opportunity, so I thought I'd try it out.
All right, what section are you part of?
The high woodwind section.
All right, what experience did you have with instruments before you joined marching band?
Before marching band, I did about 5 years of playing the flute, and honestly, I wasn't actually that musical of a kid, but when I got the flute, it was really fun.
All right, thank you, Andrew. That's all we got for you.
Here with
Jesse Kern.
he's one of the student athletes of the month. First question is, how does it feel to be a student athlete of the month?
Well, it's a real honor to be Student Athlete of the Month. I mean, I think people who get this award, they're very special, and they have both abilities and talents in academics and in sports. So.
Special. How does soccer have an effect on your life?
Well, I think that soccer is something that's very close to my heart because, I've been playing the game for most of my life since I was, I think, 4. And it just teaches you a lot of life lessons, and it's really fun when you play competitively and you play against teams and you can see yourself grow and develop as a person and as a player. So.
Long time. What are your plans next year after you graduate?
After I graduate, I plan to go to college. I've applied to some schools in Florida. There's a school in Texas I'm looking at. So there's also a school in North Carolina. So I could be anywhere, basically. It's kind of unknown right now, but we'll see. But I'm excited.
That's traveling.
We're here with Student Athlete of the Month, Mac Donopoulos. Mac, how does it feel to be Student Athlete of the Month?
Good.
Nice. What effect does field hockey have on your life?
It's been like a pretty big part of my life for like the last 4 years. Like all my best friends play field hockey, so it's just really fun.
What are your plans next year after you graduate?
I'm gonna play field hockey in college.
We're here with the Wendy's High School Heisman winner for Patuxent High School, Nate Kissler. Nate, explain to everybody what the Wendy's High School Heisman is.
So the Wendy's High School Heisman is an award that's presented to one student from each high school, given that a student applies, and it is for someone who has shown leadership qualities and given back to their community in school.
What made you want to decide to apply for Patuxent High School?
I saw some of the parameters online for the high school Heisman, and I figured I fit most of them, so I might as well give it a shot. It's a very prestigious award, and it looks pretty good on a resume. So,
This being a student athlete award, what impact does sports play on your life?
sports have played a huge role in my life. I believe that sports have helped me through a lot of issues and situations in my life, and they've really helped shape who I am today.
So you're a three-sport athlete. You play baseball, you play soccer, and you ski. If you could only choose one of your sports, which one would you choose?
I'd pick skiing, or I'd pick baseball. Sorry about that. Because there are so many delicate intricacies in the game that no one seems to really understand. For example, the shift, or players moving after a pitch, and no one really seems to pick up on those things, which is one of the reasons why I love the game.
All right, thank you, Nate.
She see money all around me. I look like I'm the man. Yeah, but I was down.
Pro wrestling. Most people see it as a weird, fake sport, yet it's still very popular all over the world. For years, these amazing, talented people with over-the-top, larger-than-life characters have been selling out arenas and stadiums around the world. It's a very underappreciated art form that deserves more respect than it receives, yet it's still looked down upon time and time again. So why do the fans of this weird, interesting sport love it so much? Well, I headed to the local Maryland Championship Wrestling show in Hollywood, Maryland, to get the point of view of the people who have done it nearly every day for years.
Hello, everyone. We are here with the current Rage TV champion, Mr. Ryan McBride. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing excellent. All right. So, how long have you been a pro wrestler?
I had my first match in March of 2006.
What made you want to become a pro wrestler? Like, what made you feel like this is a career I should go after?
Just something different to do. Like, just something kind of to spend my free time. I really didn't intend on it turning into what it has, but I just went up to the school, tried out, and just kind of stuck with it.
How long have you been a pro wrestler?
So myself, I've been pro wrestling since about November 2014 was my debut. So 3.5 solid years, pushing on 4. Started training back in June 2014. Been consistent ever since, never took a break, never stopped.
What match would you show to a non-pro wrestling fan to get them into pro wrestling?
Probably the best match I've ever seen that's not too over the top. If they were to watch The Rock versus Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 18, it's when The Rock was at his most popular, but Hulk Hogan had still reached that iconic legendary status, I'm going to say. It's like everybody knew who both of them were, but they were different generations. But the match just kind of clashed what they both represented. And it was in Toronto, forget what year, WrestleMania 18, and the place just went nuts for it. So
You were doing that face-off thing.
yeah, oh yeah, that'd be the one I'd show everyone.
We're here with the current MCW champion, Dante Caballero. How long have you been a pro wrestler?
I've been a pro wrestler for 3 years. I've moved from Puerto Rico, actually, to pursue professional wrestling, and I literally got into MCW Pro Wrestling. That's when I started my wrestling career, and it was literally August 2015, so almost a little bit over 3 years, you know.
What made you a pro wrestling fan?
Like when I was growing up in Puerto Rico, like the wrestling is like death matches, you know, like a lot of like blood and guts. So my parents, they really didn't want me to watch wrestling, but I would always like sneak around and like I would watch like Triple H and Stone Cold and all those guys. And I always thought it was like impossible You know, like I always thought it was like, yeah, like that's impossible. But I don't know if you guys saw like the CM Punk documentary, and then Dan O'Brien and all that stuff. So after I saw that those guys could do it, I was like, hey man, why not? So that pretty much made it possible for me. You know what I mean? Like after thinking that it was too big for me, I thought it was possible, you know?
Why do you think fans of pro wrestling have such a strong connection to it?
I think it's like that band that you know that nobody else knows, but you were the first one to listen to them. And then like when you meet somebody that had listened to them too, you're like, oh, you know them? Oh, that's pretty cool. And you guys are the only people in the world that know about that band. I think pro wrestling has that same connection in terms of like the people that understand it love it, and the people that don't, they just like there's no way explaining to a person that doesn't like it why they should like it. So I think that is the connection that wrestling has with the fans, and the fans per se have between each other. Like they have that one thing in common, you know what I mean? So
Hello, everyone. We are here with WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How long have you been a pro wrestler?
Oh, my goodness. I've been in the business now, I would think, probably close to like 30 or 31 years, something like that. Yeah.
What match would you show to a non-pro wrestling fan?
I mean, winning the title.
The WCW Championship?
Yes. Man, I mean, hey, that's what we all in this business strive for, you know, and it's just like in any other thing, you know. In football, you know, it's Super Bowl, right? In boxing, it's to become a world champion, you know, and in our business, you know, it's to become world champion, and that's the one I would show them.
I remember watching a clip of you winning that. I mean, the fans went crazy for that. That was a really cool moment.
Well, actually, you know what? It is a real moment in what we all, you know, believe to be, you know, the world of make-believe, but that particular moment was very real, okay? And that's one time I can honestly say it was real.
Why do you think fans of pro wrestling have such a strong connection to it?
Well, I think what we do, right, exemplifies what goes on in the real world, okay? You know, you have a bad and a good guy, and you know, hey, and it's unfortunate though that the world not only comprises of just good, you know, we've got bad people out there too, you know, so people get to come here and see a little bit of both, and I think that's what the connection really is, you know.
Well, there you have it. Next time you see a pro wrestling match, don't just ignore it like usual. Give it a chance and let your imagination go to see why so many people love this wacky sport.
Animation, a type of film that many are familiar with. Whether it be a Pixar movie, a TV show, a classic Disney film, or maybe even on Crunchyroll, everybody in some way, shape, or form has seen animation. Now the question I'm asking is, when did animation really become animation? Is it the elegant movie and songs Disney masterfully puts together, or the slapstick comedy of the 90s Nicktoons and Cartoon Network? Or the Animaniacs teaching a whole generation of every country on this planet? Well, what if I told you it was none of these? At its core, animation is the illusion of movement through 2D and or 3D images, created by a painfully tedious process of drawing characters one frame at a time. However, nowadays, animation is one of the most beloved mediums for entertainment, and the quality ever so increasing with inventions of new technology and programs. Now, if I asked what cartoon show was your favorite as a kid, I would probably hear Ed, Edd n Eddy, Chowder, Courage the Cowardly Dog, SpongeBob, Rugrats, Dexter's Lab, Cat Dog, Flapjack, Hey Arnold, Ren and Stimpy. Holy crap, the list could go on and on. However, these shows are over, and most of us have grown out of the channels they've aired on. But the golden age of animation isn't over. In fact, I think it's just beginning. In recent years, CGI, also known as computer-generated images, been the craze with a new Disney movie that comes out every year. However, CGI has been around since the 70s. In the 1980s, with new technologies emerging, an independent studio, Pixar, made an animated short called Luxor Jr. in 1986, which started the legacy we know as Pixar Animation Studios. Disney, already known as the Animation Empire, now has a 3D animation department, which would again put Disney ahead of the entertainment industry. With Disney's first 3D animated film, Toy Story, that came out in 1995. It was the Mickey Steamboat Willie for 3D animation. A new look at CGI with movement of characters instead of cheap cutscenes, which would continue to develop over the next 10 years to give us movies like Big Hero 6, Coco, Moana, Wreck-It Ralph, and Frozen. Now, there does exist animation studios other than Disney Pixar. I know, I just blew your mind. What? There exist other talented animators that don't work for Disney? Well, I speak the forbidden name, Sony. Sony Studios. Though their movies have terrible writing like the Emoji Movie, the animation and color saturation are beautiful and deserve their fair share of praise. Hotel Transylvania, the first one, a box office success making a profit 3 times its budget, had a rating of 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. However, this film had a unique take on 3D animation with the round character designs and fluid bounce-like movements in each character. Illumination Entertainment, the studio that brought us Minions, Gru, and the Girls into the world, took the theaters by storm with the hit Despicable Me franchise, having 3 movies, as well as bringing Pharrell Williams on a huge wave with its delicious soundtrack. Surprisingly, most of the animation seen on TV and in the movies is done in the animation capital that is... Oh, God! No, God, please, no! Seoul, South Korea is the world's animation central. In fact, most American TV shows have even had the fourth wall broken to mention it, like Steven Universe. Even Nickelodeon is guilty of this, as their hit show Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra Season 1, we don't talk about Season 2, only Season 1 matters, are animated by a studio by the name of Studio Mir, stationed in South Korea. Even Netflix hit show Voltron is animated by Studio Mir, so it's like the British invasion, but by Koreans. The Powerpuff Girls reboot theme song sequence, that's South Korea.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X. Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
I wish I had a stamp to expose all the cartoons and had enough time to expose them as well. Now, I might just have ruined a part of your childhood, but expanding animation into different countries as a form of collaboration on a global scale. Different ideas, styles, and imagination can influence a show, movie, and/or cartoon for good or for worse. From the media that has been around more than 100 years, as Mickey Mouse just turned 90 this year. But to see the progress from the silent era to the modern age is truly inspiring, as it makes me wonder what the future holds to this medium that my generation and many before ours has enjoyed. Thank you, and look forward to part 2 coming soon. This has been Leah for WPHS, signing off.
At the age of 95, Stan Lee has passed recently. He was one of the original creators of Marvel Entertainment, which is now one of the biggest multimedias ever. But we're here to talk about the lighthearted things. So, here's some fun facts I found about Stan Lee. Before Stan Lee wrote comics, he wrote obituaries for an undisclosed news office in New York. He quit the job because it was too depressing. Anyone can see why. When Stan Lee was asked what his favorite villain was, he said Dr. Doom, and that he would most likely want to become Dr. Doom if he was able to, because, well, he thought Dr. Doom was very underappreciated. In 2008, President Bush gave Stan Lee the American National Medal of the Arts. Stan Lee is the only comic book writer to ever receive this. Do you want to know Stan Lee's favorite superpower? It's called love. A boy said he created someone called Love Man, and Stan Lee replied with, "If somebody can make love instead of hate throughout the world, then I would say he would have the greatest superpower of all." In 2010, the History Channel created Stan Lee Superheroes, which was, well, they went around the world and found people with extraordinary skills or abilities. It only lasted 4 years to moderate success. Everyone knows how the Hulk is green, right? What if I told you he was meant to be gray? The reason why he became green was because the printer messed up and kept printing him out as green because there was no gray ink. So, in issue 2, Stan Lee just said that he turned green.
Veterans Day was this past Sunday, and here at WPHS we wanted to find a way to pay tribute and thanks to those veterans who have served our country. To do that, we sat down with some veterans and some kids within the school and asked them how the military has affected their lives.
I'm here with Lieutenant Commander Potter. First question, does your family have any military background of any kind?
No, we do not.
So, next question, what made you want to join the military? Like, what drives you?
What drives me about joining the military is that it can help me achieve my goal of going into computer science, and I think it's going to get a really good pay.
Good. Next being, like, what benefits do you think you're going to get out of the military, like, after you're out of the military?
I think one of the benefits that I'll get when I'm in the military will be that I'm going to have free tuition, so I don't have to worry about drowning in student debt. And outside of it, I'll have a good kind of cushion for when I retire, so I don't have to worry about paying off like really expensive house loans.
And last but not least, like, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veteran Days means to me that we're honoring those and respecting those and being thankful for those that are still with us who fought on the lines, but were luckily made it out alive.
Well, thank you.
Yep. So I'm here with Cadet Lieutenant Marchek. Does your family have a military background?
My dad was in the Navy, and mostly everyone else has been Air Force or Navy. Not really any Marines, Army, anything like that.
So why join the military?
Well, I want to join the Marines. It's a challenge, and I like a challenge. Plus, I'll be the first female Marine in my family, and it's a great thing to do with your life if you're not quite sure, and it will ease kind of into being an FBI agent. They look for that military experience, and it's just money.
So what do you hope to gain from the military?
Other than money, discipline, obviously, but honestly, the Marines is a big family, and that's what my gunny's been telling me, and I full don't believe it. You see all the videos, but yeah, it's a big family thing. You know, once a Marine, always a Marine, and it's just something I've always kind of wanted to do, was challenge myself.
Final question, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day to me is honoring the people who fought for this country, who fought for the American dream, and basically that was just our freedom, and it's history.
Well, thank you. We're here with Cadet Petty Officer Second Class Velasquez. All right, so how long have you been in ROTC?
Well, this would be my second year within the ROTC program.
What are you trying to gain from being in ROTC?
Well, I'm kind of trying to get a taste of what the actual military will be like. That way, when I'm actually in the get in the military, I will know what to do and what not to do more so than if I just went in blind.
What do you want your career path to be when you're in the military?
Well, since like recently, I've kind of felt peace and flying. I want to be a pilot.
Final question, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day, that means we're honoring the veterans who fought with blood, sweat, and lead to fight for our flag, its ideals, our Constitution, and we thank them for carrying the burden of those who didn't come back. And they live on their legacy as well as their family would.
Well, thank you.
So, I'm here with Warrant Officer Hollins. First question, what made you want to join the military?
I think growing up in Pensacola, Florida, with a single mom, my uncle was my father figure, so he was a big influence on me joining the military.
Second question, what did you get from the military? Like, what benefits did you gain?
I think the biggest benefit was the teamwork, the camaraderie, working together as a team to get a job done, and learning new things, learning how to work on equipment that was going to be used in the future if I decided to go into an engineering background or a power plant background.
Last question, so, like, what made you want to become a ROTC teacher? Why did you choose, a ROTC teacher?
I think being a father of 4 boys, always into sports, and teaching them how to do things the right way and teaching them values. I always taught them that your values is what you take with you every day. And I thought that as a ROTC teacher, I could take some of those skills into the classroom to teach students certain values and build on the values that their parents have sent them to us with.
Well, thank you. Listen to some good stuff.
All right.
Recently, I had the privilege to sit down with Mr. David Seaman, a Navy veteran and resident of Asbury. We talked for several minutes, and he shared many stories and experiences throughout his time at World War II and the Korean War. But what intrigued me most about the interview was this last part when he talked about when someone says, "Thank you for your service," and how he responds to that. So earlier, before I turned the mic on, you said that when people say thank you for your service, you don't always give them the usual response, but you give them something else. And can you tell me why you say that?
Yeah. Well, basically, I had wanted to be a Navy pilot from the time I was about 7 years old, because I was brought up in an area where we had Floyd Bennett Field. I was building a lot of model airplanes, and I knew that the Army flew airplanes, but I wasn't directed in that into that direction, and I had always wanted to be a naval aviator, and that basically is what happened. And so when somebody says we thank you for your service, I'm one of the many. And Neil Armstrong, by the way, was one of the guys that was in our program, in our aviation program. He was about a year behind me. But we had, at that period of time, any number of the astronauts and any number of the aviators, naval aviators that went on to get to make admiral. And had extremely good careers. And I think we all probably felt the same way. We thank the country for the opportunities that we were given to have the kind of careers that we wanted. And that's why I don't say, well, I don't acknowledge the fact that somebody's thanking me for my service. I thank this country for the opportunity to do what I really always wanted.